Cheers.
Cheers. Whoop, right there. Boom.
Yeah. Clink.
Clink. Gotta love coffee in the morning, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome.
My name is Emoticon Trash.
minus Sneakybonez. You couldn't
Sneakybonez.
tell, Dungeons and Dragons fan.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Maybe a different podcast.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about technology.
And pros and cons of it, and maybe mainly the good and bad of it. So
right.
Technology can be a good thing. Technology can go downhill. So
yes, it can.
But it's just something we're both kind of interested in. We're curious all the time, and we're wanting to learn something from it too. So
and learn more about it from a technical standpoint, because you're just like, oh, it's generated with AI. Well, what is AI? Like, what is the backbones of that technology? Where did it come from? What's currently being talked about with it? Stuff like that.
So basically, right before we started recording this, we were talking about Sora AI and whatnot.
Probably the biggest topic right now in that sphere.
Do you want to just kind of like give a little explanation to people that probably don't really know much about it?
Yeah, so basically Sora is in development. It's being created by the company OpenAI, who created ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a prompt-based text system. You give it a prompt, create this, and it'll generate basically whatever you ask it to. It will do scripts for programming. It'll do jokes. It'll do stories, books, whatever you want it to. And it'll try its best. It will also do images. The new 4.0 model will do images. But their new system, which they haven't released to the public yet, it's called Sora, and it's video prompts. So you give it a prompt, tell it what you want to create, and it creates videos. And it's scary. From like a public standpoint, it's a very cautious like feeling. It's very like, oh, so this is gonna be a thing now, and where is this going?
It's very interesting, but with our brains, it's like, oh, that's very interesting. But at the same time, it's like, this might be, if there are preliminary precautions and walls, and I say people, I guess for people that don't know, is like limits or systems that they put up that block from getting from whatever the AI or the person user is wanting to do, then obviously the company would be like, okay, nope, too far,
Right. Yeah. As I've seen kind of with social media trends when it comes to image-based prompts, asking AI to generate images, some people aren't generating the politest of images. And there's companies out there that allow you to generate images that probably should not be on the internet. Of several different categories of not on the internet. Violent, adult. I mean, there's you can, and you think of an image that's probably on the internet. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing about the internet. And there's fear, or there's hesitation with this Sora system, or how it's videos. And they're currently in beta testing. It's a closed beta testing, and I don't know how many testers they have. I'm sure it's probably thousands, maybe hundreds. I don't know. Testing, basically making sure that it doesn't generate things that should absolutely not be on the internet. You know, with images, you know, that's bad enough. Now you've got 30-second videos that I don't even know if these videos will contain audio. I don't know if it will generate audio, if it's just going to be GIFs or what. But still, it's still scary. And like we were talking about earlier before we recorded, you know, you can do all of the beta testing in the world that you want. You can have as many testers coming up with every single prompt combination known to man, but nothing will test your system like releasing it to the public and increasing the user base by millions, if not billions, with a B. There you will find the real flaws and the real hiccups that you'll need to patch. That's in my opinion, the ultimate beta test is just releasing it to the public when you think it's ready, and absolutely monitoring as much as you can what gets out there, what gets posted, and be like, oh, you forgot about that, whatever. Let's block that so that doesn't happen. So
yeah,
and that's, I mean, again, there's already companies who have their own version of text to image that are for generating specific kinds of images that are more on the adult side, and you know they use their own AI system. I would imagine once this gets released, the people who work for those companies or own those companies will probably try to come out with their own version of the video version. OpenAI is just kind of the main one pushing it right now, and theirs is gonna try to be as PG rated as it possibly can. But once you get that technology out there, people are gonna, you know, people who have the knowledge on creating like AI systems like that are gonna be like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Let me just make my own version of that. And you know,
kind of thinking about that too, about like hackers and stuff. But from what I've been reading so far about it, they have a lot of different teams that work into that. And I'll just, so what we just been talking about, I'll kind of like just read. For example, once an open AI product, our text classifier will check and reject text input prompts that are in violation of our usage policies, like those that request extreme violence, sexual content, hateful imagery, celebrity likeness, or the IP of others. We've also developed robust image classifiers that are used to review the frames of every video generated to help ensure that it adheres to our usage policies before it's shown to the user. So
that's a very like solid method to fight wrongful usage of that system.
Yeah, because I'm sure for that system and having to, I'm sure probably look at every single like micro just thing of every single thing that goes by, and you know, and it's like not to get, you know, too vulgar about it, but it's like, you know, you can't really just go on it and type in commit suicide on yourself or whatever. Then, you know, the program will be designed to be like, you know, I'm sorry you're feeling that way, you know.
I'm afraid. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I cannot do that.
Yeah. Also, we're probably going to be mentioning that a lot.
Yeah, that's like our favorite movie to technology movie is 2001: A Space Odyssey, arguably off topic, arguably one of the greatest movies, cinematography wise. It's
I
outstanding.
think it was about, oh gosh, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I think probably is when you
When we
introduced
watched
me
it.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty long movie, but man, it is technologically, it is. I mean, cinematography wise, it's. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's Kubrick, so that kind of answers why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick. Yeah, he doesn't make
So
crappy movies.
it's very scary, just the way that our human brains can be like. I'm sure a lot of people talk about it too a lot, but it's just a thing of AI. Maybe a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
it was okay-ish because we were able to kind of pinpoint certain things with, like, you know, a model of a hand on AI, but
Oh
like
yeah,
it,
looks off,
yeah, or like
or there's
fold
just no
back,
hand.
yeah, fold backwards, or like it inwards in, and
Mm-hmm.
we're like, okay, a human hand can't do that. But then now it's like, could have a regular person in a cafe drinking a cup of coffee, and it's just like that's it. But you're like,
Yeah,
I can't even tell, like, so. And that's the thing too. I got to keep reminding myself about that. Is like, it's what's so interesting about it too is like it's learning,
right.
which is crazy. It's like, okay, it'll probably look back on GIFs or little short videos from a few years ago, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, that hand looked weird. It
Right.
turned a different way. Then now it's like, I'm sure now it kind of practices in a way. It practice, and
Right.
then it's like, okay, now a year later, it's like, here's this, and then it's like, oh my gosh, it's, you barely can't see any flaws in it,
Right.
which
And
is
the
nuts.
issue with that is it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Okay, we were back. I had to take a pause there for a second.
Okay.
What were we talking about?
So AI taking over the world. No.
Basically, I mean, I
I
last thing
mean,
I
well,
last thing I said was that these videos when they first started coming out, you could tell that's a fake video. But the point of technology is to get better, not to get worse. So these videos they're only going to get harder and harder to detect, right?
yeah,
Um,
which, and I just remembered too. It was like, I remember me and you talking about it a few years ago, but that was when just more of uploading images
mhm,
um, was getting kind of popular back
right.
then. And I I think you were probably just reading an article of
Mhm,
something that was going to happen later in the future, but in development. Is what I'm trying to remember.
yeah.
And you're like, this is crazy because this might turn into um, uploading GIFs and uploading AI videos. And they're like,
Mhm,
this is in development.
mhm.
And yeah, I remember the both of us were just like in kind of in shock, because we were like, this is gonna be scary
Mhm.
in a way.
And
And
here we are.
here we are, and then boom, this happens and whatnot. And then it was funny too. Uh the both of us were kind of talking about Elon Musk, and
Mhm.
I remember hearing on when he was on Joe Rogan podcast, and I mean, obviously, he's more against it. He doesn't want AI at all, and he's told tons of people like, you guys have to be careful of
Right.
this
Yeah.
because this is not looking good at all.
Mhm.
So
Which is funny because he's such. I mean, he's a technology mogul. I mean, his whole entire life is around technology. So
Yeah.
Hearing him be like, you gotta like have some balance. It's like interesting. Because he has, I think through Tesla, for some, I'm not sure why it's the Tesla brand. But through the Tesla brand, they've got that the AI robot that they showed off, I think last year, maybe the year before.
Yeah.
It's all white and black, and
yeah.
I don't know what his intentions are with that robot. I don't know if they've ever really talked about it in detail. I just looked at a little article about it when it came out. I didn't really watch any video footage of it, but if that's just Elon being a meme lord, if you will, because he is known to kind of just do things for fun, right?
Yeah.
Like the Boring Company that he has, where he releases the most random products that you can buy, like flamethrower, or excuse me, not a flamethrower.
I've heard about that too. Where
I wanted one so bad.
he
I'm all
was like, yeah, him and a team were in a meeting or something. It was just like he just put it as, this is stupid. I don't know why we're doing this, but he was just like, let's just make this amount of them at a limited time.
Right.
And then yeah, it was like within a day and a half, I think
it sold out. It sold out immediately. Well, what's funny is I think it was originally called the Boring Company Flamethrower.
Yes. Yeah.
But,
it was.
But certain countries or states, I can't remember, didn't allow flames out to a certain footage. So he found like the footage that a majority of countries allowed, as a flamethrower, or as like a blowtorch, I think is like the distance, and it's like 4.5 feet or 5 feet. Flame is like the longest you're allowed to have in like 90% of countries. So it's not a flamethrower because it doesn't meet the flamethrower requirements for the distance of the flame. So he rebranded it to not a flamethrower.
Yeah.
It's just called the Boring Company, not a flamethrower.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And I guess basically for people that are just curious about AI, is like, now it's just become such a branch of, of this kind of stuff that we're talking about. It'll probably start going down towards of like more robot things and whatnot, like with Amazon. It's like, I think that's still kind of more in development kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're still testing things out.
Yeah. Like they're like the worker robots or whatever.
Yeah, those. Yeah. Which, I mean, speaking from experience, but they're gonna have to move a little bit faster than that. So
okay, so you're talking about like the bipedal ones that they released.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking of like the ones that are like bolted to the floor that kind of just like lift up box. Yeah, I totally forgot that they released like the ones that were like humanoid looking that go like 2 miles an hour.
They get like something out of a cubby, a tote, and they turn around, put it on the belt.
Right. Yeah, that technology definitely would need to increase by a lot before that replaces any physical human. It was just so slow.
What are you gonna have, a human manager going, hey buddy, you need to pick your rate up a little bit,
right? Or you're gonna go to the robot and like on its back it's gonna have like a speed dial. You just okay, go faster.
I'd be worried about it overheating and catching on fire or something.
Honestly, going so fast it just explodes.
Oh gosh, yeah.
you get a message from Amazon. Sorry, your package was destroyed. Not delayed. It was straight up destroyed.
Here's your refund.
Right. Here's your refund.
Yeah. So, but things like that. Me and him were talking about music. Like that's starting to become a thing now, which It's like,
oh yeah, the thing that we just discovered like 20 minutes ago.
yeah, it's nuts because, you know, I know a couple people that are producing music and things like that
Right.
that they've done their whole lives. And even for me as a little kid, it's like learning about music and like how things work technology wise. I never thought AI would become such a thing like this, even for people making music, like
What
just the future.
what I am, and maybe I shouldn't be, but what I'm genuinely shocked at is that, you know, we mess with that sound site, Suno.ai or
Suno, yeah,
whatever.
Suno, yeah,
Suno.ai is the website. You literally go in there for free. You get credits. You get like 10 credits or whatever for free. Type in your prompt for what genre of music you want, and it absolutely, I could not tell that was an AI song. You can still tell when an AI image is an AI image and when an AI video is an AI generated video. I listened to, you know, the samples that it gave me for some of the genres that I chose. You could tell me, oh, this is that band's new song. I would believe you. So, it is genuinely shocking that the music, to me anyway, maybe it's not to people who actually have more knowledge about AI and stuff and how it works, but the fact that the music is just there, like it's done, like you've got songs, like they're perfect. I didn't, and granted, I was also so shocked that it was creating such good songs. I didn't really wasn't paying attention to like if anything sounded off, like if it was off tempo or if it had weird instrument noises, because I was just so shocked that it existed to begin with.
yeah. Like what, like less than a minute?
Yeah,
And
they're like 30-second songs, and on that site you can extend it, you can add to it, and it'll auto generate more and more of the song. But by default, it's like a 30-second, 45-second clip that you get, and they're genuinely shocking how good they are.
it's,
And
yeah,
I'm like, my thought is, what's next? You've achieved the music. You've got images that are still trying to catch up, and you've got videos that are just not coming out. Music's done. Like, there is nothing I don't see preventing somebody from going on that site or any site that's similar and being like, I want this type of song with these lyrics. I'm gonna publish it under, like, I'm gonna be like a ghostwriter for a band. Like, you know, like you've got for example, now obviously like electronic music, for example, like EDM, you've got a lot of those DJs wear masks and you don't always know what they look like. Now we know what Marshmallow looks like and we know what Dead Mouse looks like. We
Daft
didn't used
Punk,
to though. Daft Punk, yeah. We didn't used to
yeah,
though. You know?
yeah.
So what's preventing me from putting on a mask, going on there, down, you know, making a dance or EDM song, going on stage, having a fake turnstile, fake, you know, fake MIDI equipment, and just hit play on a laptop. I mean, granted, that's kind of what a lot of them do nowadays anyway. Uh, it's pre-recorded, but
I
like
was,
that's beyond pre-recorded. That's not even your own content, you know.
yeah,
At
I,
least with, mhm.
yeah. Like, well, like I was going to say, like, what maybe shoot, we never may know. Maybe in the next 3 years, it's like, what's that going to look like for music award shows
Right, and
and
yeah,
whatnot?
that's a very good question. How do you authenticate that music? I'm sure there's ways that we just, you know, because again, we only found that as an option like 25 minutes ago, and we experimented with it for all of 4 minutes. But how do
Yeah,
you authentic? It's gonna get harder and harder to authenticate, you know.
it,
And the next thing with the videos, you know, right now the videos are like 30, like the Sora in general. Sora in general, the videos they're releasing are only like 5 seconds long, right? 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever. Now, when it actually comes out, they may extend that. I mean, I assume the point of it is to get longer and longer. What other kind of goal are you trying to achieve except for making longer and longer videos? And who knows, 5 years from now, videos might be able to be an hour long. Well, there's your movie. There's your fully 3D animated movie you spent all of 5 seconds making.
Yeah.
That you can. Okay, I am totally a director. I'm an animator. I animated this hour short, or not, shorts aren't like an hour, but like,
like what are your thoughts about the I think it was that Disney movie that came out. It was like, shoot, I think it was called Wish, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, they've got a movie called Wish. I don't know what it's about, but except for making a wish.
It was basically, I don't think it was the script. I think it was more. I mean, obviously the movie had songs in it and like musicals, but Disney kind of experimented with AI in writing songs about it, and it turned out to be the biggest flop movie ever, because
I can see why.
Because like, which I kind of did some comparing to like maybe a few years ago of other Disney movies and the singing and whatnot. And it was like it had pretty good like human emotion into it, human depth and whatnot.
Right, but it was just lacking.
And then you go and listen to, I think it was like, because I think one of the main like villains in it was like a king, and he was very.
Is that the movie with Chris Pine as the villain? He's a king or a prince or whatever, and I remember seeing that on TikTok, which that's a discussion for another podcast. But I think if it's the movie I'm thinking of, there's a movie that just came out that was by Disney, I believe, or Pixar. I think Disney owns Pixar. And this is a little off topic, but it was about a Disney movie where the villain, every Disney villain gets their own musical song. And if you look at Disney villains from the 90s, like Jafar and Gaston, their songs are villainous, if you will. I mean, for the time period, they're in a style that is, for a kid anyway, is scary, villainous. And then this new movie that just came out, the villain's song was like more heroic sounding, and people were like, we're having issues with it. It's like, this isn't the 90s. I was like, and I thought to myself as a joke, I said, well, it's not the 90s because Phil Collins didn't write the music. Now, granted, Phil Collins did not write the villain songs for any of the Disney movies. He wrote he wrote the soundtrack. The villain songs. Actually, I looked into that recently. A little off topic, but I looked up, or I saw there was one guy in the 90s, the early 90s to early 2000s, who wrote all of the villain songs for Disney. So he wrote like Scar's music, he wrote Jafar's music, and that's why they all kind of flow. It's written by one guy, and it's very I don't want to say it's like sassy style music, but the music is like very, I'm me, you're not, haha. That's like kind of like the I am the great. That's kind of like the feeling you get from those songs, and it's because it's written by one guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, off topic ramble.
Yeah, no, you're good. Well, yeah, because I think from it might be the same thing. I can't remember as much, but from this recent Disney movie. But yeah, just, oh my gosh, yeah, compared to stuff in the 90s where it was like, I will do this and do that because I am whoever,
Right, I'm evil and blah blah blah.
And then you listen to this and it's just like, I'm rich, I'm famous, I can do what I want. And if you don't,
Right.
I think it was like one lyric was like, if you don't pay taxes in my kingdom, then you're a bad person. And then boom, there's a song. And it's just like, what?
It doesn't have the same punch.
Yeah. Like all over my YouTube feed, whatnot, it was just tons of people.
I do remember. Okay, I vaguely remember hearing about that.
Yeah, reviewing it and saying it was like the biggest Disney flop movie because I don't think it was, like I said, I have to look into it. I don't think it was for the script part. It was for more of
the songs,
the songwriting and things like that, and just how it just didn't, kind of feeling to it. And
again, they aren't written by Phil Collins anymore.
Yeah,
as a joke, as a joke answer, but if you look back at the 90s animation, right? Even non-Disney related projects, which I can't really name many because I get all the studios mixed up. But all of the 90s and early 2000s animated movies, the soundtracks were written by like Grammy winning artists. Like Lion King, Elton John. Good, you're done. Like, you're not gonna get any better than that. I'm sorry. Tarzan, Phil Collins. I'm sorry. You got a Grammy winner. You're not gonna get any better. You can use AI all you want, but you're not gonna get. AI doesn't have the experience that a Grammy winning artist has.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and you also had what I know it's a different company, but like I remember the cartoon El Dorado, because and that was, and you had two people. You had Hans Zimmer, which I'm a big fan of.
I did not realize that Han did that.
He did,
makes sense
which
though.
Which is crazy, yeah. And of course, Elton John, he did a little bit of stuff in there too.
That absolutely makes sense.
But yeah, he had two people. Now it's like,
yeah,
you can't.
Like, I'm sorry, no AI cannot do that. Right? No AI. Hans Zimmer and all of his stuff. Hans Zimmer and I'm losing his name, but the guy who does all of George Lucas's soundtrack. What is his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
It's John something. He's like 90 something years old.
Yeah.
When it comes to those two composers, I could watch a movie I have never seen before. You don't have to give me any information about a movie. I don't even tell me who directed it. I will watch a movie I've never seen. Within 5 minutes of watching that movie, I could tell you if it's one of those two. You can instantly tell the legendary legendariness of John Williams. That's who it is. John Williams and Hans Zimmer. They're just like, oh, that's just, yeah. But when it comes to AI and music, besides what we just experienced, companies like Disney using AI to write lyrics or do the actual music composition, that would be interesting to see. I don't think it would ever. Two things. One, I don't think it would ever be as good as just hiring a Grammy winner. And two, it would the audience, upon knowing that this music was AI generated, I think would automatically have a disinterest in it just because you use AI, right? Like, it was written by. It's a great movie, but the music was written by a computer. So I think persuading the audience to approve of AI will take a very long time, and it may never, from a like professional standpoint, from like being in a movie or being from like an artist, like a famous pop artist using AI to write lyrics or whatever, and knowingly like admit it out, like say this song was written in part by. You're automatically setting yourself up to fail as of right now because of just where the stance on AI is.
Well, yeah, and somebody had to like remind me when I was just kind of rambling about it one time, and somebody was like, well, yeah, you have to think AI doesn't have a human soul.
Right. And that's your issue 100% of the time.
It just gets orders and just does what it's told.
Yeah. It just outputs ones and it inputs ones and zeros and outputs ones and zeros.
Exactly. And I guess just something just so simple that we don't really think about too. And it's just like, oh, I didn't really think of that, And
yeah.
But the thing is that I feel like that's a little bit creepy is like, it's like, I think we're trying to get into that, making the robot have a soul, which that
you know how many movies there are where the plot of the movie is that's not a good idea.
No.
More than one.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there's literally, granted, this book and the movie that represented this book are not on the same plot. There's a movie loosely based off of this book where the whole entire movie is about how that's not a good idea. Also, there's our favorite movie from 1968. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I cannot do that. That right there, when that movie came out in 1968, first off, our AI in 1968, that was always a fantasy. Now it's real. But we do have to like look at those movies and see they weren't wrong. Even though they didn't have actual AI like that I'm aware of, at least not publicly, or any version of it, they weren't wrong in saying that it's gonna turn evil.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean,
at some point, it may not turn evil, but someone is going to use it for evil. You give you give the wrong person access to AI, they're going to use it wrong.
Yeah. So, but we could definitely get into that.
Yeah, that'll be for the next podcast.
So, yeah, but well, I think that's pretty much it for now. So basically, just two nerds that love talking about tech stuff and whatnot. So, but alrighty.
You want to do the outro, or shall I do the outro?
By all means, you go ahead. I'll let you do it.
Alrighty. Well, that is all for this episode of TechBrew, Tech Unfiltered. Remember, folks, drink your coffee in moderation and don't believe everything you hear on the internet. Goodbye.
Peace.
Peace.